Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Standard 81 podcast, and I am Sincere. And before we get into this today, let's go ahead and take a 30-second break just to get our minds right, and then we will get into it. 3, 2, 1. And we are back, and I am back again with another Rant Wednesdays. And we are going to watch a small clip of Miles Monroe talking about jobs, the difference between job and work. And then from there, I'm going to talk about uh, purpose versus job. And I'm going to bust out a couple of definitions and a couple of illustrations. I know I don't normally do that on Wednesdays, but uh, this was kind of important. So I figured I'd dig into it a little bit. Uh, Without any further ado, let's watch the late Miles Monroe.
People looking for money. Don't look for money. Look for a problem. You solve problems, you get paid. So that's different between your job and your work. Let me give you the differences real quick. Never confuse your job with your work. Why? Your job is what they train you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Your job is your career. Your work is your life assignment. Your job is your skill. Your work is your gift. You know why they let people go during the crisis? Because your skill come a dime a dozen. They could fire you.
All right. So as you heard, the late Miles Monroe just clearly said there's a difference between your job and your purpose, right? He called it work. I Nowadays I hear a lot of people saying the word purpose, 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 purpose. But you know how I am when it comes to certain things. In order to truly indeed know what it is you're talking about and what it is you're focusing on, you need to know the definition of the word. So let's look it up. The word job means this: a regular position, a specific duty, role, or function, something that has to be done, the undertaking of an unusual uh an unusual exhortation or a piece of work. Now let's look up purpose. Let's look up the word purpose. All right, so we're gonna look that word up too. And the word purpose means something set up as an object to be attained, a subject under discussion or action, or a course of action or execution. So now you know the difference. One is just a position that's been taken. And so many times we think that because we have a particular position or we have a particular job, that's what our purpose is. No, No, because we think we are earning some type of substantial wage from that particular job, we consider that our purpose. But if that job was to ever fall off, what is your true purpose? What is it you're looking to obtain? What is it that is truly motivating you, truly driving you? And for some people, it is money. But I'm here to tell you, as a Christian, that's not our purpose. That's not our purpose. And I would say to anybody, Christian, non-Christian, if money is your only purpose, man, you're gonna fall short. You're gonna be lacking in a lot of areas because ultimately what you're gonna find out is that what happens when you don't have it, or what happens when you get to a certain point. If that's your only motivator, then what happens when it's not useful? What happens when you can't use it? What is the thing? I love what my father said once. Your purpose should be the thing that motivates you without you having to be paid for it. By proxy, let me tell a story. If you've seen the thumbnail that I put up there, I put up Spider-Man, right? And I know a lot of people wonder, why did you put up Spider-Man? You talking about job and purpose. Easy. If you look at the fictional character of Spider-Man or Miles Morales, either one, I'm going to talk to you about three different characters, right? Peter Parker was a student who was studying biochemistry by all uh, stretch of the imagination. He was going to wind up a scientist. He then got bit by a radioactive spider, gained superhuman powers, and now his purpose was to help out society as Spider-Man. We've seen that over and over in the comic books that Spider-Man don't necessarily get paid. It's not like Spider-Man clocks in. Miles Morales is a little different, but the principle is still there. We can even take, so you say, oh, that's you just talking about the brokies. No, okay, cool. Let's talk about everybody's favorite superhero, Batman, right? How would you like a comic book with the adventures of Bruce Wayne, eccentric billionaire playboy? That comic book would be dull as dirt because everybody has an idea of what it's like to have money. And while it would be great to hear about some of his lifestyle choices and some of the things that he does, and maybe his philanthropy and his giving and all that good stuff, we're like, "Oh, I don't want to read a comic book about this." What we engage in with is the Batman, his purpose. Batman don't get paid. Batman don't make no money. A matter of fact, if anything, Batman is using up all the money that Bruce Wayne has obtained through his jobs, through the things he's inherited. Batman is out there fighting crime to make the streets better so that what happened to him as a child would never happen to anybody else. That's a purpose. And so many of us focus in when we think when we start saying purpose, the first thing we think about is jobs. Yeah, you got to get this kind of job and earn this kind of salary, and then you can know your then you'll have purpose in life. Really. So if those things go away, you're no longer useful. Dr. Miles Monroe said in that same clip, what is the problem that you're solving? What is it, the thing that you're doing? What is the skills that you have and you have developed that makes you uniquely different from everybody else? Not only in a job perspective, but in a life perspective. Because everybody is out there working, from what y'all would consider brokies to the billionaires. It's only the only people that conflate the two are the money hungry. The only people that conflate the two are the money hungry. The people who say their purpose is to obtain money conflate a job with their purpose. Because without the money, they have no identity. So they get jobs or they get positions that give them status, put them at a certain level so that they can have some type of identity. But when you know what your identity is, you can begin to explore your purpose. And I'm here to tell you today, the only way you can really find out your true identity is number one, start talking to the Father. Start talking to the Lord Jesus Christ, who is my personal savior of my life. You start talking to him, that's when you can start figuring it out. Because in the beginning, God made all the heavens and the earth. He formed and shaped us out of himself. So, how can we figure out what our purpose is if we never talk to the one who gave us our life in the first place? All we're going to continue to do is chase job after job after job after job, hoping that somehow it evolves into our purpose. This is why people who had elite jobs delete themselves when that job is over. And I'm not saying everybody does this, but I'm saying that I've heard enough cases now to know that people who have been in high paying positions and who had done all this stuff oftentimes just boop. And what was the reason for that? It was because their whole identity was trapped. Their whole purpose was trapped inside that job. And once they lost that job, they didn't know what to do. There was no purpose. That's better. So I'm here to tell you this. It's time for you to start looking into, what is my real purpose? What is it that every day I get up and I say, irregardless of whether or not I'm going to get paid or I am going to earn anything off of it, I am willing to do it. I am willing to go after it with my full heart. And I'm going to tell you, as a Christian, that should be Christ. But for those of you that are non believers, you need to start figuring it out. Because if all that's motivating you is lifestyle and money, what happens when it all goes away? What happens when it's not available to you? The things that we consider so important nowadays seem to be so menial in the grand scale of things because nobody even mentions them when we get ready to pass on to the next life. And trust me, there is a life after this. And that's a whole nother can of wax that I'm not going to even get into. But I'll say this, the decisions you make here today is going to determine your next life outcome. And the things that you focus here on today are going to determine what that outcome looks like. So you're best to figure it out. If your whole life revolves around what I can obtain, what I can get, what who's looking at what, and don't get me wrong, I think all of us suffer from wanting to be recognized, wanting to have nice things, especially here in the West, wanting to obtain a certain amount of value. But if that's all your life revolves around, then something's wrong. And you'll never be satisfied with any job. This is why Gen Z leaves jobs after a year or 2 years, because they're still trying to find purpose in jobs. They're still trying to find purpose in the thing that makes them a wage, because they've been told in colleges and throughout their lives that in order to find your purpose in the thing that drives you the most, you've got to obtain an education and then obtain a position to get a certain type of wage, and then you'll know what your purpose is. I'm going to give you a biblical example here, and I'm not going to hold this one long. Let's look at the story of Moses, right? If anybody had the opportunity to have a great career, it was Moses. Why do you say that? Here Moses was born into as a slave in a Hebrew camp, was shipped off, right? Was given, shipped off, and put into place amongst the palace of the kings of Egypt. His what we would consider purpose was to be the next king of Egypt should Ramses die. He was being groomed, shaped, and fashioned to be a prince of Egypt. Then he met up with his relatives, the slaves, and they tell him God spared you because he wanted you to be the deliverer of the people. What does it mean to be a deliverer? Moses starts thinking. I don't even know what that looks like. So now Moses is pondering this and he's trying everything. He stands up for his people. He making requests, making stuff known. Figured I'm in the palace, so let me use my power to do some good. He even goes as far as to kill an Egyptian to save a Hebrew, right? And then sees that same Hebrew that he had just slayed, that he just saved a day or two later, and he's arguing and fighting with another Hebrew. That Hebrew calls him out on his dirt, and he has to flee. But in his mind, he's still like, how am I supposed to deliver? How am I supposed to be a deliverer? And these people don't even listen to me. You know what had to happen to Moses? He had to get alone in the wilderness. He had to get a job. Moses became a shepherd in the midst of a desert place, where there he met Jethro and his wife. But Moses wasn't anything spectacular after he left Egypt. He was just an ordinary dude. Still thinking about, they said my purpose was to deliver. And it had been years. And all that whole time, he's like, my purpose was to be a deliverer, until you finally said, you know what? I'm done with this whole purpose thing. And about that time is when God called him. Spoke to him in the burning bush, told him what to do, and now he's off on his journey. And we know the rest of the story. It just goes to show you that what we think is our purpose is really just a job. And oftentimes, what we think is just a job is really our purpose. But we conflate the fact that we earn income or we earn status or we have a certain socioeconomic level that we obtain. We think that that job is equated to the purpose because we have allowed society and the world to tell us that's what it means to be a purposeful person. Throughout the Bible, we see that the purpose of the disciples and the purpose of the great man of God was to spread his message. But oftentimes, these people were meager. Not so much in the Old Testament, but definitely in the New. Peter was a fisherman, Luke was a doctor. I mean, high paying profession, but nonetheless. Paul was a tent maker or a kafah maker. I forget whatever. These weren't glamorous jobs, but these people knew that their purpose was to spread the gospel. And they knew in order for us to continue to spread the gospel, we need something to pay us residual income so that we can continue the mission. That was what the job was for. We keep thinking job, 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 job. The jobs are there to fulfill our needs, not to provide us with a sense of purpose. And once we get past that, we'll be better. And that's all I'm going to say. So, everybody, check out the Standard 81 podcast over there on TikTok. I got a bunch of videos up over there, and it's doing all right. It's actually doing all right, I got to say. Check out Cecilia the Artist. That is my Instagram page. Got some videos over there. I think you'll love those as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That would greatly, 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 greatly help me. And if you are watching this after it has went live, type second watch there in the comments and let me know what you thought about this particular stream. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.